I think the time has come. I cannot wait any longer. The power supply is still doing like a week, but I'm gonna start putting things together because I'm sure that this build is gonna take me a few days to figure out everything. So I'm just gonna start building things. So to build a PC, a very rigorous set of tools is needed. A screwdriver. So make sure you have one of those. So to start, we're going to go ahead and start with our motherboard. So let's go ahead and take this Johnson out of the box. Okay, so the CPU of choice is the Ryzen 5 3600. Here's the cooler. Set that aside. And our processor. So this is definitely the most delicate part of any PC build, is actually installing the CPU. So let's go ahead and open up our retention arm just by pulling it out a little bit. Go ahead and open this Johnson up very carefully. Ooh, okay, this is unnerving. Bam. Okay, we're good. So here's our Ryzen 5 3600. This is the first time I'm holding this thing. Scary. So, if you look closely, there's a tiny little triangle on that corner right there. And that is supposed to line up with another triangle that is... Aha! So it's just a little like indented triangle that is right there. So there's the two triangles will line up. Another little trick, you can kind of see that there's like a missing pin on the corner here. It's really hard to see in the camera, but like over here there's like, 3, 3, 3, and over here, oops, sorry, there's like an angle. And that will correspond with the socket, and the Ryzen symbol just goes with that, like it lines up like that. So when you're putting it in, you just gotta line it up and set it in. Give a little wiggle, make sure all the pins are in. You don't have to apply any kind of pressure whatsoever. Did I get it dirty? My fingers? No, my fingers are clean. Okay, and then just push the retention arm down. Perfect. Your CPU is installed. Beautiful. Okay. Now, what would come next, I'm going to do the cooler, just because I have it out already. I'm just going to use the included AMD Wraith Stealth, or whatever it's called. The fan that comes included with the processor. So the included processors also come with thermal paste included. Do not touch it. Let's go ahead and set that right there and remove the I guess the brackets for the backplate. All right, so these will just go. This will just go right on top. Align your screws up. So we'll go ahead and grab our screwdriver. It only sounds like that because of the springs that are on the screws. Wow, that was excruciating. I actually had to turn off the camera and screw it in off camera because it was just so hard to get in. And now that I did that, I just realized I'm an idiot because I can't install my RAM in these with the AMD thing sticking out right there. It's covering that. I'm an idiot. So I gotta undo everything I did and flip it around. Alright, now that I'm sweating, I think it's finally time to install the RAM. Which is the fun part because my RAM is very pretty. We've got a set of 16, oh hold on, two 8GB sticks of G.Skill 3200 C16 RAM. So when you're installing the RAM, it's pretty simple, and if you mess this up, you're dumb. So you can see that there's a pin off center. This side's obviously bigger, and then this side's obviously bigger. So, even a dummy could figure that out. What's not easy to figure out is that you actually want to use the gray slots that are further away from your CPU. I don't know why, but that's just how it works. So when you install this, kind of put this corner in first. Make sure you put your clips back, and then make sure it's, hold on. Just make sure it's lined up. and then it'll click in on both sides. Make sure it clicks. All right, mine clicked. Mine kind of like made weird sounds actually. All right, I'll go ahead and go for the next one. I hope I'm doing this right. So line up the slots, slide, click. That one sounded a lot better. All right, there's our RAM. Now we're going to install our storage. I just went with a 512 gigabyte SSD from Intel. Ah! You go! Open this, Johnson. Maybe. Okay, there it is. Here's our SSD. M.2. So that'll go in. We're going to use the one with the heatsink cover just because it's cooler. Alright, so this side will go in at an angle like this. You don't really have to push it in. Just kind of let it dangle there. And then we got to get our M.2 screws, which should have come in a little baggie in your motherboard box. So grab your fat one, the little fat one. This is a male and female. You can see it inserts to the motherboard on this side, and then it will take another screw in at the top. And the other little screw will be just the little male, which is this guy. Just a little male. So let's go ahead. Oh, I probably should have done this first. Yeah, let's actually take this out. So grab this guy, put it in the corresponding hole. You can just thumb screw it in. There's no need for extra pressure. Insert the M.2. No need for a lot of pressure on this either. And then with your screwdriver, you might actually want to change your bit, because this is a number 2, but you might need a number 1 for this. And we'll lower it. Hopefully I don't mess this up. No. So be sure to remove. There's a little plastic thing that needs to be removed, because it's got a thermal compound on this as well to keep your M.2 cool. Oh, I probably shouldn't be touching that. Okay, so there it is. We've got our CPU cooler, our RAM, and our storage. The only thing that's left is really just stick this into the case and assemble everything. But we want to make sure we post-test this. So the power supply is supposed to come in today. It's been about 4 weeks. I'm really excited, but I can't actually post-test or do anything with the computer until it comes in later today. So I'm just going to get started on putting the case together. I'm just going to stick the fans in there, and I'm going to take the ones that I have in there out and reposition them. Just make sure that everything is ready for whenever I actually get the power supply. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is take that box off. Let's go ahead and take off all these thumb screws. So remove our side panel. So the first thing I want to do actually is install the I/O shield back here in the back. Please make sure you orient this right. Just notice that if there's any numbers or lettering on it, that the 10 is upright. Just make sure you're not big dumb whenever you actually put this in. So it'll just, I'm looking at the camera and what I'm doing. Wires are in the way. Okay, just line it up with your case, and it should just snap in all 4 corners. Got it. Okay, bam, that was tricky. So I have 3 deep cool addressable RGB fans here that I'm going to stick into this case. I want 2 of them to be in the front. That will be intake. They'll be pulling air in from the front. And then I'm going to have another RGB fan in the back. That will be exhaust. And then I'm going to move these 2 fans that I have here on the bottom, because there is a filtered intake on the bottom here as well. So they're going to be pulling air from the bottom up, because hot air rises. So that'll be hot air will rise, and then the fans will suck in and push out. So it'll just be I feel like it'll be, you know, a nice rhythm, you know? So I'm gonna get started with this back fan and just take her out. Yeah, it's fine if you drop the screws from the floor. This is how professionals do it. Now this front fan is going to be a little bit more tricky because I actually have to remove the entire front panel off the front of this thing in order to have access to the screws. So let's just go ahead and yank on the front and then it'll come off like so. Just be careful you don't yank out any of these wires because that's like your the front I/O wires. That's what I think they're called. Like for the power button and everything. So let's go ahead and try and gently maybe... Okay, here's what I'm actually going to do. I'm going to get around to the back. Oh my goodness. Get around to the back and take the side panel off, the back panel off, because I will actually need access to those wires. Turn this guy all the way around. Take the side panel off. Here we have a really nice dust filter. I'll just set it on top. And then we'll do it one-handed. Success! Alright, so now we're gonna put these two fans on the bottom here and those three on, two in the front and one in the back. So it helps to note which way your fan is actually oriented, because you definitely want to have, you know, intake in the front or an exhaust in the back. You don't want to have just all intake or something, that'd be stupid. The way you know how your fan is oriented, they typically have arrows. These ones, these don't, these deep cool fans, but these ones from Montech, they do have arrows right here. So that arrow tells you just which way is intake, which way the air will flow through it, and it's typically the side that actually holds the whole fan together is the intake, or is the way the air flows. So if I want air to come from the bottom up, I have this side facing up. And then on the flip side, if I want air going out, I would have this side facing out. Also, another pro tip, just make sure that the orientation of your fan makes it so that the wires face the back, so you can run the wires through the back of the case, so it's easier. If you notice these fans are really hard to screw in, that's fine. Typically, the screws that come, or the holes that come in the fan are not pre-threaded. The screws that you actually screw in are just ripping through the plastic as you screw them in, so it threads itself. Also, like most things, it's a good idea to screw things in a cross pattern. So go one corner, next corner, just so you get even pressure throughout the whole fan. Now, something I just noticed with this guy, because he's going to be oriented this way, the cables might actually cause some clearance issues with the motherboard once I try to put it in there. So I'm actually going to orient this down so the cables are facing down, just because I don't want to have to deal with that later. Also, something I want to point out, while the fans are still out, the difference between RGB fans and regular fans with no RGB, obviously one lights up, but that's not what I'm pointing out. So the RGB fans have two cables coming off of them. One is the power, this is the 4-pin power cable, and then it has another 3-pin RGB cable, adjustable RGB cable. If it will focus, jeez. Whereas the regular fans only have one power cable. Gosh darn it, it's in there backwards! Well, now that those guys are in, I'm gonna put this filter back on and snap the front panel back on. Alright, now I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna get these on here, because I can't fit the screwdriver under there. Okay, so I found this really tiny one that I can just stick in here and put my arm all the way down in there and try from there. Okay, now what I'm discovering is that these tiny little holes are too small for these fat screws to fit through. They will not thread. So, but they're obviously made, like they fit perfectly for a 140 millimeter or 120 millimeter fan. So I think I'm gonna go grab a power drill and just make those holes bigger. Oh boy. Nice. Let's see if that's too big or perfect. Ah! Alright, so my fans are finally installed, and I went ahead and ran all the cables for them through the back, just in preparation for the motherboard. That's probably where I want them all to go. And so now the next step would be to install the standoffs, the little stands for the motherboard. This is where you'll screw the motherboard into. The case came with 6 of them already in, but we need to install 3 more for the ATX board. Okay, so as long as you have your IO shield in all 9 of your standoffs, you should be able to just line your motherboard right up with everything. And try not to move it around too much, because you definitely don't want to scratch the PCB. Because that's just bad. Don't do that. So with the this bag actually came with the case, which I'm sure if you bought your case it would come with it as well. All your motherboard screws are in there, and they will look like this. I hope you guys, oh here, they will look like this. I hope you guys can see that. There will be 9 of them in there, so that's how you can know what they are. What? Okay, maybe this is not the right screw? Aha, I was using the wrong screw. I actually would recommend giving it a decent amount of pressure when installing the motherboard, because your motherboard holds a lot of components, so it's going to have some weight on it. So when you're screwing in these screws, just give it about a half turn, maybe a fourth of a turn past where you feel resistance, but don't, you're not gonna, power thread this thing in or anything. Just use common sense. Alrighty, so the motherboard is now installed, and now let me tell you, it's looking pretty. I'm loving this. Just note, I kind of stuck this power cable out because I measured the cables a little earlier, and it just didn't reach where I wanted it to, so I'm leaving it up here to actually connect to the motherboard instead of to one of these power connector strips that I'm going to put in the back. But yeah, this is looking good. So I cannot really continue further until I actually get the power supply, but there are a few things that I can still plug in, like the front I/O up here. I can plug that in down here real quick, and maybe some fans. Okay, so for our front I/O, which are these tiny little cables that will be connected to your case, we have the power plus and minus LED, which will correspond to this picture that I'm going to show up. And then we have the reset switch, which is also on that picture, HDD LED plus and minus, and the power switch. These will all correspond with some ports on the motherboard. Okay, so all these little cords I just showed you are going to go through this grommet, and after you feed them through there, they're going to be right here next to where they're going to be plugged in on the motherboard, which is all these pins right here. We're going to figure it out and plug them in. Let me get more light. Alright, so the first plug we have is that HDD LED. If you can see, like on the bottom left corner of that grid that they have there. So that's going to be this plug. So just note the plus will go on the left and the minus will go on the right. So we've got to turn this upside down, and it'll go on those first 2 pins right there. Okay, and then immediately on the 2 pins next to it will be the reset switch. And now we're going to skip a pin, and then we're going to go for the power LED plus, and then the power LED minus right after that. So for those 2 that are kind of separate on the bottom there, this going to be plus and then minus. And then finally for the power switch, the actual power button, it's going to be on these 2 pins. Let me get it, and then I'll show you which pins I mean. Hope I don't break anything. Wait, why is it not going in? Ah, there we go. It's in. So, those 2 pins right there. And now everything is connected. They might be a little bit crooked because they're super small connectors, but that's fine. Oh, and my case came with this little speaker. So that goes like right there on those 4 pins right here. Okay, so now that all our beautiful I/O is connected, it's time to tuck it all away. So I'm just gonna shove this speaker back behind this fan. That red wire is gonna be there, but that's okay. I'm gonna tuck all these other wires behind this fan, and then look at that. See, you can't even see them. And then I'm gonna go back behind where this grommet is. Oh, that's the wrong grommet. And then pull all these back so they're nice and tight. Well, not tight, but you know, I don't want to hurt your wires, but just make it look pretty. So here's all my front I/O cables. I'm gonna try and cable manage these as I go and zip tie them. Zip tie certain types of cables together. So I'm just gonna zip tie these into this little hole here with this little zip tie. So we can also start plugging in some fans. I'm gonna plug this fan in to, can't see it, this fan header right here, this 4-pin fan header. And watch this magical cable management. I folded the wire and I'm tucking it. I'm tucking it behind between the fan and the actual motherboard I/O cover, whatever thingy. And then make sure you orient this the right way. This way. Plug it right into that fan header. Bam. And then just tuck the wire away as best as you can. So now I'm going to start taking all the fans, and I want to start plugging in their power connectors into the 4-pin power connectors. Some fans do come with 3-pin power connectors. That's fine. Just make sure you plug it in the connectors that are on the right, like those 3 pins on the right, because it'll just, you know, it corresponds that way. You can't mess it up. So it looks like this guy has an adhesive strip, so we're going to peel that off and stick it right here. Okay, so now that's on. Let's move on to the actual, where is it? Where is it? This guy. This is the 3-pin 5-volt RGB strip. So it's basically like that, this guy, but this guy is for power, this guy is for color. Well, I think this is all that we're gonna get for cable management at the moment. Please don't judge me too harshly. I'm an amateur. So this is the best I can do. My first PC build. But anyway, so for this deep cool power strip for their fans, we're going to run all the power through this grommet here. I think what we're going to do is probably our best bet. And then let's go around the front and look for where we can plug that guy in. So here it is. Let's look for the best fan connector. Aha, here's one. Right here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but right there is where we're gonna plug it in. Let's go ahead and line it up right there. If I can get it. Beautiful. And then we'll just stick it behind the fans like everything else. Wow, putting those fans there was a good deal, because like it's hiding all my wires. Okay, so in order to sync up the lights on our RGB fans, we need to use the 5-volt ARGB header right here. I think you can see right there it says 5V and then ADD, which stands for addressable. We want to use that one because it's a 3-pin one. We do not want to use this one, which is the 4-pin 12-volt header. That will not give us what we want. And then we will use the cable from the fans that was sent to us. It has two headers at the end of it. One says ASRock, Asus, and MSI, which is the 3-pin like we want. And the other one says Gigabyte, which is 3-pin but different, which we don't want. So we're going to use this one. So I'm going to route this backwards just so you can see exactly, just, you know, which header you actually want to use. So we're going to do this guy, if I can get it in there. And then I think we're going to bring it through this grommet. And then we can plug the other end of that cable we just ran into the top of our RGB. Am I doing this right? Yes. Aha, I am big dumb. So it does not plug into the top because that is a output. We need it to go in the input. which is actually, it comes out of the bottom. You just plug these two cords in together. I would show you plugging it in, but I can't get them apart now. They're locked together in love forever. Go into there. Beautiful. Well, I just realized we have a problem. So I have a mouse, but I have no keyboard. So I have to go run to Walmart and get a keyboard for my computer. Oh yeah, there's my baby. Oh! Ah! This right here is my baby Lorelei. She's what gets me around. She's an electric bike. She's got 350 watt motor, 9.5 amp hour battery, and yeah, she's a beauty. I love her to death. Vroom vroom. Let's go. And I forgot my wallet. On the road again. There it is. We at Walmart. Right, bro, let's see what they got for motherboard or keyboard selection. Is that it? That's it? Wait, hold on. What? I mean, this isn't bad looking. Let's see. How much is it? Alright, dude, it's only 30 bucks, so I think this is a steal. Here we go! Yeah! You stay. So I guess there are still a few things we can plug in. Like we've got our USB 3 port. So we're gonna run through this grommet right here. Actually don't need to run it far. This cable is extremely long for some reason. And we're gonna, if I can find it with my hand. Jeez. So USB 3 just goes into light. USB 3 just goes into this bad boy right here. And you can kind of just line it up like with what pins you can see it needs. Like over here in the top corner, you can obviously see that there's no pin there. And right here, there's no pin, so it'll just line up like so. And these two are just the regular USBs, so we can feed them up through this little hole underneath. And then they'll poke out right here next to the fans. So one is actually audio and one is USB. Okay, so the USB one, we're actually going to plug into this plug right here, because it actually says USB on it, underneath it, where you guys can't see. Okay, so I totally had it right the first time. But look what came in! Guys, the power supply is here! Oh geez, bro, I can't believe I'm actually almost done with this PC build. It's been so long. I ordered everything like 2 months ago and everything's just now getting here. It's crazy. So we can just slide the power supply in the back like this. And then we can line up the holes with the case and then screw it in. So the first cable I'm going to run through is the 24-pin power cable. I'm going to run it up along the back and into this grommet here, which will then plug in right here. Okay, so I ended up taking the power supply out because it was just too hard to get it to the plugs. But next we're going to plug in our CPU connectors, and make sure you don't plug in the side that actually connects to the motherboard, which is the side that splits it into 4 and 4, because that is going to plug into the CPU end. So we're going to run the CPU power connectors up on the top right corner, because that will align us perfectly with the CPU connectors up here. So we're just going to split one of them in half, plug it into the 4-pin, and then just put the 8-pin in there. Ah, there's so many Molexes! So just plug your Molex into a SATA peripheral, like so. That didn't feel good. Anyway, and then just one of them, even though there's a million, into this Molex here, which will power our fans. We also have a million SATA connectors, but we're only going to use one. So just connect the power end into another SATA peripheral, like so, and then just use one of them to connect to the SATA, which is somewhere in this mess, which will power our, there it is, SATA plugs into there. It powers the I/O shield. I/O. Now for the PCIe, which will connect to our graphics card. We're gonna go ahead and plug into the PCIe slot, which is just gonna be right next to the CPUs. Please don't get those confused. On this one, it's nicely labeled, but it's not always the case. And then we'll go ahead and pre-wire this guy up through the bottom, and I'll show you where in the front. Okay, so I just ran that cable through a hole behind the fans here. This is going to connect into our graphics card. And speaking of graphics cards, carefully line up the graphics card, and then it should just snap in, but I might need to use 2 hands. Okay, now you're just gonna stick both 6+2 pins into the GPU, because there's another one down here. If I can get this with one hand. That one, and that one. Shabam! Plugged in. So now that everything's looking sexy, get behind your computer and cable manage your cables, you motherboard. Close up our side panel. Oh, that's closed. Okay, I have never been so nervous. Oh my goodness. This is the moment of truth. Everything is set up. I just have to push that button. That's all I have to do. Oh my goodness. What? Nothing happened. Okay, wait. I have to have done something wrong, and this has to be an easy fix. Is it just not plugged in all the way? What? What could be wrong? Oh, wait. No way. No way. The power supply wasn't on. It's lighting up in there. I don't know if you saw it. Oh, it's lighting up in there. I don't know if you guys can see it. Look at that. It's lighting up. Oh my goodness, I didn't even push the power button. Hold on. Oh! No way! Oh! Oh my goodness, it's beautiful! What? Look at it! The fans! They're spinning! Something like this! Oh my goodness, I can't speak! It's so beautiful. Oh wait. Oh! It beeped. Oh my goodness. Hello? Sometimes it takes a minute to boot. Come on. Come on. Come on, you can do it. Okay, so with the help of my uncle, I was able to get it. He was able to get it to get to the BIOS. I apparently just had the HDMI port plugged into the motherboard instead of the graphics card because I'm a big dumb. So now it's posting. So congratulations to Eric.
Yeah, good job you too, Alex.
Yeah. I'm not gonna show you guys how to like download Windows or anything. This is just purely a PC build tutorial because I actually don't even know how to do any of that yet. So this was the easy part. Now we're gonna get to the hard part. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching my video. I had so much fun making this PC and just RGBing the heck out of it. Everything's working just fine. I got Windows booted up already. Took no time at all. Just thank you so much for watching. If you really like this video, please go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel. I'm definitely going to be making more content. And I'm enjoying it, you know. All 33 of my subscribers, I love you. Alright, bye.